Hey guys, my name's Dee, this is Heroine and welcome back to my channel, and today I want to talk about Ace of Spades by Faridah Àbíké-Íyímídé. So, let's talk about this book, because I have many thoughts. If you guys do not know, Ace of Spades is a debut novel. It's a YA thriller which takes place in a private school, and we follow these two characters, Chiamaka and Devon. They are the only black students in the private school, and their senior idea is basically being like destroyed by this anonymous texter named Aces, who is spreading secrets, rumors about them, and they like team up to try and find out who Aces is. That's the premise of the story. It was marketed as Gossip Girl meets Get Out. So that's the kind of general like thing. Like, it's a very popular new release. And I've seen a lot of people enjoy it a lot. So I'm kind of scared about posting this video. But essentially, I did not love this book. I did not hate it. I did not dislike it. But I did not like this book, and I feel like I just didn't have a fun reading experience with this book. And I really wanted to have a discussion about what we bring to stories, and how that affects our story, like our reading experience. Like, because this book for me was just very exhausting. And I'm going to take a couple of steps back. So it's marketed as Gossip Girl meets Get Out. I was expecting, especially because it's like YA and we're kind of like, it's been marketed as like a really fun thriller and stuff like that. Like, I was really expecting the Gossip Girl elements to be the heavier one of like the comps. Like, I was really expecting Gossip Girl, and I've never watched Gossip Girl, but like I've watched Pretty Little Liars, and I'm pretty sure it's like the same like aesthetic, like rich girls keeping secrets and like a big drama and everything like that. So I'm pretty sure it's the same kind of premise like when it comes to Gossip Girl. So I was really expecting that element, and because I was really expecting that element, I was expecting the story to be more fun and just like drama and dramatic and just like over the top almost. And instead what I got is Get Out set in a private school. So when I say this book is Get Out set in a private school, I mean that if you've watched the movie Get Out, you probably can predict the entire plot of this book. Like, I am not joking. It got to maybe like 70 pages. I was like, this is exactly what is about to happen. Like, it's like it was just so obvious to me. So like, maybe if you watch Get Out, you might not get like the final what's happening kind of aspect, which I enjoy in thrillers, because like, I don't know, for me it's just very obvious. It was a very predictable plot. But having said that, I did like enjoy the story as a whole. I feel like it's a very solid story. You know what I mean? And as a whole, like, this is a very like solid debut. But yeah, so when the story is going to be so heavily Get Out, there's going to be just a lot of heavy racial trauma and microaggressions as well. Like, I feel like people kind of forget that like Get Out is just a really like triggering and traumatic movie, like for the characters, like for the main character of that movie. It's just very heavy and traumatic. So I was not expecting that weight when I was reading this book. Seriously, before I got to the 150-page mark, I was thinking about DNFing this book multiple times, because I was not expecting for microaggression after microaggression after microaggression after microaggression. It was a bit tedious. It was very tiring, and I just was not expecting it. Like, maybe it's just a surprise element. So again, like, me not really enjoying this book, maybe it's just a me thing, because I just was not expecting what the hell was going on in this book. And it wasn't made better but by these characters who just seemed very naive. And I had to almost be like, because I don't read like a lot of YA like at the moment, so I had to really just be like, is this just like YA? Like, these characters just being so naive. And even so, like, I was then thinking like really though, like, okay, maybe like a white character who may be in this situation, but I'm thinking about like a black teen, and very unfortunately you know what I mean, like black teens, black children are more aware of, you know, race and the pain that it brings and the unfairness of it all. Like black children are aware of that. So maybe it's just like me putting on this like putting on that to these black teenage characters who are dealing with it. But it just felt very odd that these are like the only two black characters in the entire private school. And race and racism is not the first thing you jump into when something happens to the only black characters of this book. It was kind of just odd being like, oh, what's connecting us? What's going on? What's going on? Like, you are the only black characters in a private school, which is very rich, and I don't understand why it's taking so long for you guys to get to the inevitable conclusion that racism is involved and intrinsic to what you are facing. I don't know, to be honest, I don't know if it was just me. He was just feeling very like, what the hell? Like, if I don't know, it just felt weird. It just felt very weird and very almost unbelievable. Like that race was not thought of as a contributing factor, let's say. But yeah, and then also I want to talk about these characters as well, because I was really expecting Chiamaka and Devon to have more of a friendship. I'm not just saying like the only two black students, so they have to be friends. I actually really enjoyed that they were in two completely different social groups and standings. Like at the beginning of the book, Chiamaka is more of a queen bee of the private school, while Devon is kind of just like the runt who no one really knows about. So I actually really enjoyed that. But like I was expecting for there to be more camaraderie. Like it got to the middle of the book and these characters still just felt so completely apart from each other. It's almost like there was like two different stories. And again, like, yeah, these characters are gonna have different stories, right? But it's like almost like competing for like space in this one book. So I was just expecting there to just be more of a mixing, like I don't know, more conversations between them, like trying to relate to each other and find common ground. And I feel like we just didn't get that until right at the end. And do you know what I mean? It just didn't feel satisfying to me, because it's like it's like that wasn't built up. It was not built up, but okay. So after the 150-page mark, so I'll say like for the first part of the book, it is just like microaggression, and then you really get to some heavy traumatic aspects in the rest of the book, and it was just like so. It wasn't fun, and that's what I'm trying to just say. Like, I was really expecting the Gossip Girl to be gossiping. You know what I mean? I was just expecting this to just be more of a fun story. I'm not saying you don't have to include racial trauma in like a story in a YA thriller, but it just felt like the Gossip Girl comp was kind of just ignored after like the first 100 pages of the book. It was just fully get out, and I just couldn't enjoy myself reading that, because it was not what I was expecting, and again it felt just really predictable, and it just felt like it wasn't satisfying. Like it didn't feel like there was a satisfying conclusion to all the trauma and to what was going on. Like it felt almost like rushed a bit, and it got to a point, especially towards the end of the book, it got to a point where it's just like, of course this scenario is just going to like, it just felt so much. I was like, it was just too much for me. It was just too much for me. Like, and that is just again like the crux of my criticism. Like there are other things I could like criticize as well. Like, you know, you could definitely tell it was a debut. It was a bit chunky in some areas. Some plot elements seemed a bit rushed, predictable, as I was saying. But the crux of my criticism for this book is that it was just too heavy for me. And I guess that's where the discussions have to come in about the personal baggage that you're bringing to a story, because I've seen black people love this book, do you know what I mean, and really enjoy this book. I recommend it so much, and like me, I would be very careful recommending this book. Like I would really give caveats to recommending this book. Like are you okay? Are you in like a solid like mental health space? It just felt really triggering. And you know what I mean? And a black person might read this book and be like, this is not triggering at all. Like, what are you talking about? But it really was for me. And that's why I was just so surprised. I don't know. And I woke up, I finished it yesterday, and I woke up, I was still thinking about this book. I was just thinking about how weird this book was for me, and like, and how seriously exhausting it was. When you have stories that are about black pain, black trauma, there is always the possibility that you are going to end up centering whiteness in my narrative. Okay, whether it's like, oh, white and whether it's white terror or white power play, or you know what I mean, something like that. Like, there's always the possibility that you actually end up focusing on that and not on the blackness of the story. And I feel like Devon's character was written a bit better than Shamaka's, because you saw him really kind of struggle with wanting to do well for his mother and for his family, and that really realistic pressure of having to achieve social mobility for your family. I really enjoyed Devon's kind of like character conflicts. They weren't done perfectly, but I enjoyed them enough. When it came to Chiamaka, I felt like her blackness was like not dealt with head on, and I would have preferred stuff about like her mother or about her hair and all these sort of things to be fleshed out a bit more than all the weird stuff that was happening with like Jamie, like, because it was pretty, I don't want to give anything away, but it's like pretty obvious that like Jamie was just like an idiot. So like I would have preferred it to like her story to be more focused on her blackness and trying to like confront that and trying to accept that more so. And because of that, it just felt like the story was too focused on white terror and not on blackness. To me, it just focused too much on the whiteness, or whiteness was just centered more. And this could, you know, I'm not saying that the author did this like consciously, but it just felt like whiteness was centered more than blackness. And also when you just adding in that aspect that it's supposed to be half Gossip Girl, half Get Out, and it's just entirely Get Out, I was just thrown. I was thrown. I just didn't know what I was reading. I just want to make people aware that this book can potentially be very triggering and very heavy, and there's not a lot of things that balance that out within the story. But if you love this book, great to you. I just don't feel like it was the book for me, but I am ready to read another book from this author because I feel like there's a lot of potential in her writing and I want to see how she grows with her books. But yeah, that's it. Please let me know down below if you enjoyed this book. If you didn't enjoy this book, just let me know your thoughts and feelings. Remember to follow me on my Twitter and my Bookstagram. And yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon on another video soon. Bye.